Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
Frank Marcelino.
What's up, man?
I told you I was going to mispronounce your name at first. You remember we were talking about that the other night?
No, I don't.
Okay.
You said it right.
Yeah, I said it right this time. Frank Marcelino. I've been practicing. I know I'm horrible with names. Horrible.
Dude, I am too. I'm horrible with meeting people and talking to them for a long period of time and then seeing them like a week or two later, like, hey, man, nice to meet you. And they're like, we met.
Well, it's surprising.
Sorry, bro.
It's surprising that you and I remember each other because I think most of the time that you and I meet each other, we're a little sauced up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's fun hanging out with you guys though. Frank does music, great music too, by the way. But some of the times when they come down and they perform at the bar, they'll invite me back to the studio and they'll do listening parties afterwards, and we get to hear all their unreleased music. It's freaking dope.
Hell yeah, man! I appreciate it.
Yeah, I have a good time with you guys down there. It's something like the behind the scenes stuff that most people don't get to experience.
Definitely. Actually, when we went the night you came, I took two of my coworkers there and they were blown away. Yeah. I think most people, they think when they say, oh, I do music, they're like, oh, you must just be in your bedroom. Now there's nothing wrong with that. I go record at Knox's house all the time, but there's something about being at the actual studio. When people see it, they're like, oh damn, this is tight. This is cool.
Yeah, no, being in that setting, dude, it's really fun. It's the creative aspect of things is very different anyway, because a lot of times when you say I do this art, there are a lot of people that say that, but they don't actually do it.
Yeah.
So when you around people that are actually doing the art form and are good at it because they've been doing it for years, that's where the real fun comes in for me.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I was definitely one of those people for a while where it was I made music to put it on a CD, play it in the car for my friends, and that was the farthest it got.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm an artist. And then you realize nah, you gotta get out there. Yeah. Do shows, promote yourself, do the hard work and all that shit.
Wait, that comes with time though, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'm at 10 years probably now, but I'd say 6-7 years of actually trying. Mm-hmm. So in terms of putting myself out there, showing up to shows, all that stuff. So
yeah, I think 10 years is a sweet spot. That's kind of where I'm at right now with filmmaking. And I feel now I got it.
Yeah.
When I walk on set, I'm so prepared. I know exactly what to do and I feel comfortable with myself. Whereas the first 1 or 2 years, I didn't have a clue what the fuck was going on. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I really got serious with it. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing it now for long enough that, like I said, when I go on set, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, man. It's like they say, the 10,000 hours. I remember starting it just being terrified. Just praying, I hope the show gets canceled because I'm so nervous. I don't even want to show up. And then now it's I realized I hit I wouldn't say peak, but we threw the pool party over the summer and I didn't really prepare. I had my set, didn't rehearse it, was hungover the whole day, was kind of just hanging around the house helping Knox set up for the show. And then he was like, hey, you're on. And then I just got up and I killed it. And then I told him after, I was like, I can do 100%, never will be nervous again for a show.
It's because you're comfortable now, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's me. That was me with auditions. Mm-hmm. I used to do auditions and I would be terrified of doing auditions, but now when I go in there, I play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually had one of the biggest casting directors on the podcast a few weeks ago, on the Hunt Casting, shouts out. But we were talking about this too, and I was telling him the last audition that I did, I was taking lines from other actors and stuff, just fucking around. And I actually got a call back for that audition. Whereas before I would have been so nervous that I wouldn't have done anything like that because I'd been afraid to not get cast when in the beginning I'm not cast anyway. Oh yeah. So might as well have fun with the stuff that you're doing.
Are you only showing up to film sets in the capacity of an actor, or do you know everything else as far as the technical aspects of it?
So in the beginning I was just an actor. And then I was I really like this, but I have to depend on people to give me a job.
Right. Yeah.
So then I was I'm gonna learn how to make films myself. So for the past 10 years, that's all I've been doing is learning the process. And now, like I said, when I show up, if I go into just an actor, the day's a fucking breeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm so comfortable with that aspect of it now that it's nothing. I think you get more comfortable with that aspect of it too once you've done the other parts. So for you, since you produce music too, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you got more comfortable with the rapping part of things whenever you started producing because you kind of understand the entire process, right?
Yeah.
So sure. It's the same way with me. When I started writing and directing and editing, I become more comfortable with the acting part because now I know that if I'm in the scene, the editor needs me to turn a certain way,
right,
to cut this together with the other parts, or they need to catch this part for this scene to work. Yeah, so it's kind of a different understanding of the process.
Right. I actually saw something really cool. My wife's cousin writes for AMC. He did the show Hunters. I never saw it, but he said he wrote on that show, and he was filming this show in the Chalmette with Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad. And they did this really cool scene where they're in the junkyard and the dude is supposed to crash into his car like from the driver's side and like smash against him. And the director was her cousin. And I walked up to him and I was like, are y'all about to shoot this in reverse? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, are you about to shoot this in reverse? And then he asked like the technical guy next to him. And he was like, oh yeah, I guess so. Like he didn't even realize. And dude, it was so cool. He pulls up to the dude, like parks the car right in front. And then the guy started the scene like as if he had impact. And then they said action. And then he just slammed it in reverse. And then the dude went back to on his phone.
Yeah.
It was so cool to see that live.
Yeah,
I'll show you pictures after, dude. It was really, really cool. Like,
yeah, I think once you get comfortable with the process, it's a very creating. I mean, I'm not sure. Like creating music, I'm still like a novice in it. Like I dove into it a little bit here a while back with a guy named Calvin Scrotus. I don't know if you've ever heard us talk about him. Yeah, that's another story. Okay, but so music, I don't really know the process that much. But when it comes to acting and creating a film now, it's such a weird process when you've never been a part of it. Like when you're just seeing it for the first time. Because a lot of times when you're watching a scene on TV, you don't have a clue what went into making that scene.
Right.
Yeah, and that's another thing that helped me with the technical aspects of acting.
Right.
Is learning how to create an entire scene.
That's awesome, dude. That's probably the next thing I would actually want to get into. Cause like, not that like I'm bored with music. Obviously I want to keep it going, but like, I feel like
music videos, right?
Huh?
Music videos.
Yeah. Music. Yeah. That's one thing I was talking to, Knox about, where it's like, instead of just us rapping outside, standing in front of a wall, like let's take it. Like he just shot he shot a music video for one of his songs. And I gave him the idea where I said, oh, you should do that scene from Pulp Fiction where they're talking to the boss and he's like sitting by the pool eating fruit. Yeah. Wearing like that yellow turtleneck on the phone with cool shades on, and that girl's in the back. And he literally just recreated that scene for his music video. Yeah. And you do things like that and people notice it and appreciate it. And even when they don't notice it, once they read the comments and see, they'll be like, oh, this is so cool. And then somebody will be like, oh, they took that actually from the inspiration of this movie. I feel like people respond to that more and they're way more respectful. Like, oh, that's super cool. They're actually trying to like entertain us, you know? So, I mean, it's cool. I've seen the stuff that you guys do in front of the like Ferret Stop and stuff too. That's dope. It kind of puts us on the map down here at Ferret Street, which thank you for that too, by the way. Hell yeah, bro. Yeah. But like, yeah, what you're saying, the creative aspect of the music videos, that's fun too. And I think it adds something to the music, and it also adds something to, it shows people that you guys are real artists rather than just like musicians. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you were mentioning that you were hungover a little bit. Yeah. So we were talking about this and he was saying he's got to dial it back a little bit. Like, how old are you now? 30. 30. Okay. Yeah. That's when it hits. That's when it hits, dude. It's really bad. Used to drink a lot more, like all throughout my 20s, and then started slowing down. Probably the last 2 years, I cut it down to like once or twice a month. And I'm fine. Like if it's like, oh, we're just casually chilling, you know, keep my wits about me. But like I said, when I go into it where it's like, oh, the goal tonight is to get intoxicated to the point of no, it just never ends well. I wake up the next day like, fuck. You lose a whole day. Who am I apologizing to? Yeah. I hate that feeling. So like I was telling my wife last night, like we went to a party last night and we played beer pong, but like at never once did I get sloppy, you know, had my little buzz the whole time. And then at like midnight, she's like, all right, let's go home. And then on the way home, I'm like, I'm realizing that this is going to have to end soon. Like this casual, like keep my wits about me drinking is probably where I'm going to end up, you know? See, I can't even do that anymore. What, like, just casually drink? Yeah. Even the last night that we hung out at the studio, like, I don't think I was that drunk, but the next day I woke up hungover as shit. Yeah. Yeah, dude, that sucks. Like even last night, like I said, I went to bed, like totally with it. Like I drank some Gatorade and then I woke up and I was just like, oh man, like tired as hell, but the coffee helps. Coffee, nicotine, I'll be all right. Yeah, just keep piling it on more and more. Whenever we're done with this, whatever, I don't know what I'm going to get. Some type of hangover food. And I'll be good. Yeah, I need to come to one of y'all's pool parties. Y'all doing that every year now? We do it every year, but next year will be the first year that we don't do it at the actual house. We're going to try and move it to the Drifter Hotel. That's because dope. we had about like, with the artists included, about 100 people. Which is a lot. Like, I mean, my people's house can like handle that much people, but it was like, they live like on the golf course. So like whenever we have that many people come and they're taking up the streets and like the music's blaring till 11, it's not an issue like with the cops, but like we know like the neighbors like feel some type of way. Cause like, it's like the backyard. I'll show you pictures. It's like where the stage is, it's the pond. And then it's just the entirety, like a long stretch of the golf course. So I know that is just echoing out at night. Yeah. And I just feel nervous doing it. Like we've never gotten in trouble. Cops never showed up. We had an ambulance show up one time because somebody got drunk, and then immediately got into a jacuzzi and then passed out. So then that was funny because then one of my coworkers actually showed up and pulled them out and like pulled them off on the stretcher. But that was the only really bad issue we had. But you just still feel nervous because it's like it's your house and people show up and they think it's like an Airbnb. So like not that they're trashing the place, but they're not,
it's not very respectful.
And we have to like tell them like we're running around like this is our house. Yeah. Like please do not piss there. Don't do that. Don't leave. So. But, it's been fun. But like I said, next year, it'll probably be at the Drifter Hotel.
That's dope. The Drifter's a nice spot.
It is.
Yeah. Can it handle that many people though? Like how much you have to do that?
I've been at the Drifter before for big events, and it looks like if I just copy and pasted the amount of people that came from our party and put them there, they would fit.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be all right. And I'm actually hoping, I actually want it to be a little bit more packed to capacity because I want like all our people there. And then the people that are just kind of there because it's a Saturday, I want to get all that crowd. So
that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. I'll definitely be there next year. This year I was out of town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I even told Knox, I was like, dude, this sucks that I'm going to be out of town this time. Cause this is the first year I've really known Knox and all you guys really. But he was, he invited me personally this year and just couldn't make it.
Yeah. It's all good, bro.
So how did you get into music, Frank?
Specifically rap music. I was actually...
Hang on. What do you mean specifically? Would you do other music too?
No. I just mean like my love for music kind of goes way back. Like in terms of like, like walking around with like a CD player at all times. Yeah. Like a weirdo. But that
was me too.
Yeah.
Not like a weirdo. Yeah. Just at our time.
More, to the point like where like the friends I had would be like, it's a problem. They're like, why do you always have your headphones in? Like hang out with us. And I'm like, dude, it's just like, I don't know. I can't explain it. I was just always listening to music. But as far as like starting to try to rap, I'll never forget. I'm at my house, probably freshman. No, I wasn't a freshman. Sophomore, junior in high school, approaching senior year. And Knox is actually at my house who had already been rapping for a few years. And my friend Miguel. And we're on the balcony and they're just going back and forth, sharing their verses. And we're all drinking. And I'm just sitting there like being left out of the conversation for like going on like half an hour. So then I just got pissed. So like I went inside, wrote out something, and then I came back out and I'm like, hey, this is what I wrote to this beat. And then I spit it to them and it was like, like, okay. But they were like, dude, what the fuck? Like you just wrote that? And that's literally how it started.
Nice.
It just became like out of a little bit of like competitive jealousy where I was like, I'm left out. I'm going to do it. It was the same reason like why I started skateboarding. Like I was hanging around kids at skateboard and I had to run after them. They're like, you should just get one. I'm like, okay. So I got one and I loved it. It became like a huge part of my life.
I would have to get a bicycle.
Yeah.
I can't fucking stand up on a skateboard, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've tried it. So, and I used to use the excuse that I'm just too tall, but then Tony Hawk came out and I was like,
no, that's not it. That's actually better when you're like tall.
That's what they say, but not for me. Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I started, man. And then it just grew from there.
So you and Knox have known each other for a long time.
We have known each other since 2009.
Did y'all go to school together?
We did not. We actually met because I went to Rummel, it was like a private school, and he went to Destrehan High, which is like way the fuck on the other side. But we had a mutual friend. We had two mutual friends that went to the same school and they kind of fell out. And I'll never forget, we actually met in Fat City at a Mardi Gras thing because Miguel was supposed to meet up and allegedly fight this dude.
Oh shit.
And the dude brought Knox and Miguel brought me. So me and Knox are just like chilling. And then like my friend Miguel tells me, yeah, if they try anything, you got to back me up. I'm like, what? And then like Twig tells Knox the same thing. Like, yeah, if something goes down, and Knox is like, what? Like, and then like we meet. It's a little awkward at first, but then like, both of our friends were just pussies because like they saw each other and it just went right back to, oh, hey, what's up, man? How you been? Just completely disregarded all of that bullshit, whatever beef they had. Yeah. And then me and Knox are just like, I don't know how it came up. Something came up with MF Doom, and then it was just like we hit it off. Yeah, just been best friends since then.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes the universe just like brings people together. Like that was probably the catalyst that had to bring you guys together. Because I mean, you might have met on down the line, but I think right there, like something had to happen to bring you guys together.
Oh yeah, if that wouldn't have happened, we probably wouldn't have met for like. I wouldn't have done music.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
because he was only because I started hanging out with him. He was serious about it. Miguel was like. Just one of those people like you said we were earlier, casually do it, like might write a verse here and there, and then never put the song out type thing. That's what Miguel was. But so yeah, that's huge life event.
Well, you know what that means? That means that for that to have happened, that means you have to make music. Like now you can't go back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I already went through those phases where I was like, I'm gonna quit. This isn't worth it, or like it's not fun anymore. Now it's like a matter of because back then it was all for the wrong reasons. It's like, oh, if I don't have like this much money, or if I don't have this accolade, or I haven't achieved this type of festival, then it's not worth it. But now it's like strictly the same. I liken it to like how some people just have to like I'm not one of those people, but they're like, oh, in the fall I gotta go hunting, summer I gotta go fishing, and like, you know, they're like or go golf. Like there's just things that you have to do in life because it's like you just feel like it's a part of you. That's what music is for me now. It's like even if I knew for certainty, they're like, yeah, you're never gonna like make a full living off this. You'll just do this until you die. That's all I want at this point. Yeah, because it's like I love the idea that like I'm leaving something behind, and like, you know, most people are like kind of, I'm not saying boring, but like a lot of people just kind of work and then don't do anything else. So it's like I used to be insecure and think like, oh, people are like laugh at you and you're like, oh, I'm a rapper. They're like, okay. But you know, it's like for me, it goes deeper than that. It's like I'm an artist. I like to sit in a room. To me, it's amazing that we can sit in a room just like this, and then somebody pulls up a beat or they make the beat, and then you write, and then out of thin air, you have just created like an entire composition of music. You know, it's just that's what I love. It's like the same thing like how I respect filmmakers. Like you have there's no story. There's nothing that this doesn't exist. And then they write these characters, they write a storyline, and they get like the cinematography in there and the film. And then they just create this beautiful work of art. Like I'll always be a sucker for the arts.
I completely agree with all that. I now feel like for me, I have to create something. It's like there are times in my life where I start getting like just fucking erratic, and I'm like, what is going on? I start and like reflect on myself, and I'm like, dude, I haven't created anything in a few months. So like it's just all building up inside, because like these stories that I'm creating, they live inside of me,
right?
And they have to come out. And if they don't come out, they just start like boiling up inside of me and going crazy, right? So that's what creating is for me. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I won't be able to stop until I die.
I'm not stopping, dude. And it's funny because like I said, I've gone through those periods where I'm like, nothing's coming out. Like there's like, I guess like you could call it writer's block. It's a combination of writer's block and then also just not putting myself in the position to be inspired. Like just kind of like would have like a few weeks or months hiatus where it's like, I'm not really doing anything that makes me feel like I'm an artist. So I kind of like started to get removed from it. And then, you know, it was always someone like Knox, like pulling me back in, like, what have you been doing, dude? Get your ass in the studio. We're going to do something. And then like, you know, somebody like Flu will like play a beat. And then it's like, I write like at that point in time, like the best verse I've ever written.
Do you just like feel it?
Yeah. It's crazy. That's how I know, like I don't want to stop, because it's like, I will be like, I'll listen to a beat that somebody sends me and it could be like right away. As soon as that first line gets written, it just pours out. And then sometimes I sit with that instrumental for like 2 weeks and nothing comes. And then just out of nowhere, it just pops in my head, that first line, and then I just build off that, and it just, you know, it's crazy. I love that feeling.
Would you say that you've developed your own unique style when it comes to rapping?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or do you have someone that you kind of like look to? And
not really look to at all. Honestly, I would say all of my rap is very much influenced by all like the bands, like heavy metal bands, like the more mainstream ones like System of a Down, and Rage, and even to like, you know, the death metal core, like fucking screamo shit.
How did you get into that kind of stuff?
That probably when I was 11, I stopped listening to. I went through that phase where you listen to what your parents listen to, which is like the radio, and then they'd buy me like, now that's what I call music CDs. They're like, you can listen to this because it's like, you know, it's like we're watching you. They went through a brief little Christian period where we listened to life songs. So I had to listen to rock music from Christians. And then maybe when I was like 11, my mom bought me 2 very different CDs. She bought me the Green Day International Super Hit CD, and then she bought me College Dropout from Kanye West.
Oh yeah.
And right there was just kind of like, man. Yeah, it changed my life. But like, I would say like I was always into rap, like mainly people like Kanye West, like the mainstream ones like Eminem, Kanye West, 50 Cent. Like if it was on the radio, I liked it. But with the rock music, it went from Green Day to, like I said, Korn, System of a Down, My Chemical Romance, Day to Remember. And then as I got a little older, started venturing into like, you know, the Under Oaths and the Brand News and like just all like the heavier.
Well, that Christian rock, that was some good shit back in the day, right?
Oh no, yeah, it was. It wasn't bad music at all.
That's Korn, right? Korn was a Christian rock band.
No,
right?
POD.
POD was, yeah.
I was thinking like more like literally the Christian rock bands where they would be saying like Father in Heaven, like like the fucking, but it was like Creed. I'll say that. It was like Creed and 3 Days Grace for Christian rock.
Bro, Creed gets a lot of bad rap.
Oh, but they're good. I don't mean that Creed in a bad way.
Well, no, have you heard of Scott Stapp's new stuff?
No.
Yeah, so he went out on his own.
Oh, I didn't know.
And
that.
he's released like 2 albums, just solo albums. And bro.
Oh shit, I might have to check that out.
Dude, next level. Next level stuff. Yeah, I listened to the Creed when I was young. But Eminem was like my big influence with rapping.
Yeah, for sure.
And Kanye West, dude, when he started doing it, he gets a bad rap too, but
he does, dude. But he's so influential.
He's a genius.
He is, dude. I will say that like I wish that sometimes he would just be more low key. Like I know you can't like hold people like him down, but like he'll say things and people will be like, "How do you like this dude?" I'm like, I don't give a fuck about what he's talking about in this moment. I'm listening to the music, how every album he just pushed himself. And he basically, I feel like I'm not one of those people that like knows enough about music history and like specific genres over the past like 10, 20, 30 years to say, oh, it's this person started this trend, this person started that. But I know for a fact, like when you see it, like what he did for Graduation and like Jesus and Dark Twisted Fantasy, you see his influence in other artists. You know what I'm saying? Like he really did change what rap music could be. And that's honestly why I got into rap music, was because there was like this renaissance between like 2007, 2009 and 10, where like rap music stopped being like D4L and G Unit. And like it stopped being about how hard you were on the street. And then all of a sudden you get all these like artists like Mac Miller, Kid Cudi, you know, like are coming out. And then all of a sudden people just kind of like all at the same time stopped caring if you were a rapper just strictly from the streets. They just wanted to hear an artist like make music. Yeah. And that's kind of like exactly when I got into it. And that was where I kind of struggled the first few years, because I was like, can I rap? Like, you know, kid, like I grew up in Kenner, in the suburbs. Like, what am I going to rap about? So it's like, I learned that it's okay to just kind of rap from stream of consciousness things. Like, and then obviously like when I had writer's blocks, it was because I was still young. Like now that I've gotten older, like,
you have more to draw from, right?
Yeah, way more to draw from. So it's like, it's a lifelong process, you know?
It is, dude. Kanye, I have a whole Kanye playlist on Spotify where all the songs that I hear from him and they like influence me in a certain way, I add it to the playlist. And it's growing all the time. Yeah. Like I think Hurricane of his last CD, Donda. Yeah. Like that's a freaking amazing. So I think the first time I heard that, I mit've been crying. Oh shit. Like there's so many songs that this guy just writes and they're just,
I don't remember Hurricane. I think my favorite song on there was Jesus Lord.
Yeah.
It was just that beat. I don't know. He's nonstop, dude.
Dude, he's good. Like it's hard to deny that. Like the people that don't like him, they're trying to deny his music too. It's like you can't.
Yeah, you really can't.
You can't. You can play a song for him and they can hate him. They can hate him so bad, but then they still got to fucking bop to it.
You have to.
Yeah.
100%.
So how do you like, when do you create now? Because I know you work a full-time job. Which I think that anyone who's creating the amount that you guys are should be not have to work a full-time job. This is my personal opinion. Yeah, I think that the state should fund it, or the federal the United States should fund these things, because you need creative people in your society. Yeah. So like, when do you actually find time to create now that you work a full-time job as well?
Well, ironically,
and does that make you feel like you need to go towards them?
Yeah, I just what do you do? I'm a paramedic.
Yeah, full time. When you hear the sirens, you're like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, immediately. Just it's funny, but when you're off, you're like, "Ah, fuck it, it ain't my problem right now." But yeah, every time you hear sirens, it's like PTSD.
Yo, this dude's creeping too. Is it something down the street there?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Yeah, that's what I hear all day. I'm going to be even more deaf in like 20 years when I'm still doing this. But yeah, so full-time work as a paramedic, been in EMS for 3 years. And honestly, dude, I write when I'm at work. I know that sounds like kind of weird, but a lot of the time, like when I'm on the truck, I recently got promoted, so I don't need to always be on the ambulance. Sometimes they'll throw me in a sprint truck. So I'm basically, it looks like a cop car, but it's an ambulance. But I can't transport people, so I'm basically like sprinting around the city, helping out other trucks, you know,
like
doing
a first
stuff.
Responder or something.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So like I just like kind of run around, help out. Like if no trucks are available and somebody's messed up, I got to go by myself and wait for an ambulance to come. But in between those calls, when I'm sitting there, it's just, for some reason, I don't know why, that's like when I'm the most inspired to write. So I'll put in my headphone, be listening to the radio on the other ear, and just be writing. And that's how I've written my best verses, I feel like, this past year and a half, and made my best beats in the past year or two, like just being in the ambulance, like waiting for a call. And I just feel inspired to write. Cause I feel like if I'm just sitting at home, like on my off week doing nothing, and I'm just like drinking a beer or whatever, like, I don't know, it doesn't come out as raw or as aggressive or even as inspired. That's why like I feel like I am lucky that I work this job, because it's like 7 full days. And then I'm 7 full days off. So I feel like while I'm at work, like, you know, in between, now don't get me wrong, I'll still write on my off week, but the best verses and the best beats I've written in the past 2 years are while I'm at work waiting for calls to come out. And I feel like it's this perfect balance where it's like when I'm at work, I love my job. And then towards the end of it, I'm like, man, I can't wait to be off and go record. And then in that week of being off, you know, I'm hanging out with my friends, my family, making music. And then by day 4, 5, and 6, I'm like, all right, I kind of miss being on the street. Because it really is something where like, if you talk to people that work this like first responder field, like they complain about it. Like it does get rough sometimes and you feel like, fuck, man. But you're addicted to it once you're in it. Yeah. You really are. Because you're just so you never really notice like how many times a day people like need 911 services. So it's just like once you're exposed to that, you get this feeling where like you feel like you see the real world, like the curtains lifted. Because like if you just drove around your city for like 10 hours straight just in your regular car, you're not really going to see what's going on. You just kind of feel like you're driving in traffic. But for us, it's like we're seeing, you know, somebody got shot, somebody had a heart attack, a little kid got hit on a bike, like, or, you know, it's just medical stuff like shortness of breath, people with COPD, CHF, like there's a lot of unhealthy people down here. So it's like every day is just balls to the wall. Now, granted, I will say this, there are a lot of times where we get discouraged because, you know, if I run 10 calls, maybe 3 people were actually dying. The other 7 are people that are like, hey, my shoulder hurts, bro. And I'm like, okay, what hospital would you like to go to, sir? How old are you? You're 26 years old and your shoulder hurts. Okay, let's go, bro. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of calls where you're just like, this isn't why I do it. But the reason you do it is for when you do run those BS calls, that when you do get the one where it's like you need to know what to do to save someone, that's why I do it.
Oh, those are like practice, the BS calls.
Yeah, I guess they're like practice, yeah.
It's like, what's one of the scariest, because you mentioned people getting shot. Like how often does that happen?
Every week.
Really? Every week you called to a shooting?
Yeah. We're not as bad as New Orleans because I feel like New Orleans has a couple every day or close to one every day. But on the West Bank of New Orleans in Jefferson Parish, it's still bad, dude. Because I live on the East Bank and it's much more quiet. I don't know if that's just like the police presence in Kenner. Like they're a little bit more hardcore. So maybe people just aren't too scared to try. But it seems like on the West Bank, they don't give a fuck. Like they are just... So
wilding. You're over the West Bank or you're over East?
We're over the West Bank.
Okay, so you're over
Jefferson Parish is split between East Bank, West Bank.
Yeah.
So I live on the East Bank, but when I work, I go to the West Bank side.
And then Greater New Orleans is something different?
Yeah, Greater New Orleans is like New Orleans East, Uptown, kind of like the Lakeview area, and then they also have to cover like this whole area. And Algiers.
Yeah, I bet there is a lot of shootings in that.
There's a lot of shootings, dude. But
it's so nuts. So I'm from Arkansas, a very small town in Arkansas. And then sometimes I'm talking to people that are back home and we're talking about certain issues and they just don't get it.
Yeah.
And they don't get it because being in a city is pretty fucking savage, man.
Yeah.
Like you've lived here your whole life, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I didn't. So when I grow up, there's never a shooting. So when I tell people that there are shootings, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Or just anything like that, like carjackings, all this stuff.
A lot, dude, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, this is living in a city. It changes a person.
Yeah, it's a brutal city, man. I'm glad I don't live out here.
No, it makes you hard. That's why I realized. So I went home for, it was I guess a month and a half over the summer when the bar was shut down. And while I was at home, I fell back into that guy.
Yeah.
To like soft, like soft, small town kind of guy. And when I came back, it took me like probably 2 or 3 weeks to like readjust to being in a city.
Yeah.
It made me crazy, man.
Yeah, I guess we're just numb to it because we're just used to it.
That's what it is.
Like I grew up in Kenner, but like my family, they own a wine shop in the French Quarter, like in the very middle of the French Quarter. So since I was like 10 years old, they were bringing me there. So like, you know, driving through the French Quarter streets. Not that the French Quarter is like as bad as any of the surrounding areas, but you know, you just see you're just exposed to that city life.
I mean, French Quarter is still pretty rough. That's the only place I've ever gotten attacked in.
Really?
Yeah, I used to bartend down there in the French Quarter.
Okay. One
night I'm walking out of the French Quarter. I'm on Esplanade, walking up Esplanade, and this guy, it was me and the other bartender I was with, came up to us and was like, "Yo, man, you got $1?" And I was like, "Nah, man, we got any money? We just got off bartending stuff." So he knew we had cash on us. And he picked up a broomstick out of a trash can and hit me over the back with it.
Oh, fuck.
And then I turned around and took the broomstick from him because I'm like, if you're going to attack me, you got to come with something more than that.
Right.
Yeah. But that was the only place I've ever actually been physically attacked
assaulted.
by someone.
That's crazy, bro. Jesus Christ.
But I mean, I know it happens all over the place.
Oh yeah, they got those assholes in there in the quarter too that do the whole hey man, let me guess where you bought your shoes from. And like, man, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, this is the inside tip right here.
Yeah.
If
you ever get asked where did you, I can guess your shoe size, I can guess where you got your shoes from. All you need to say to anybody that tries to talk to you if you're a tourist is just say, I'm not a tourist, I'm going to work. Now, if you're the asshole that's here like wearing a fanny pack and you have like visible sunscreen on your nose and you have one of those safari hats on and you look like a tourist and you're walking around with a brochure, we can't help you. But if you're walking around and someone approaches you, because I used to do it all the time, they come at you and then you just say, I live here, bro. And then they're like, oh, all right. And then they just walk away because they know they're not going to scam you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
Dude, I remember one time I was going to the gym and I used to have this pair of gym shoes that were the worst. Like they had a piece of duct tape on them and everything. I felt like when I was in there, it made me like grind harder, knowing that I had shoes like that. So I'm going to the gym and this guy stops me and he's like, yo, man, you got an extra pair of shoes? And I looked down and I pointed at my shoes and he's like, man, the struggle's real is what he said. And he walked off and I was like, you son of a bitch. Struggle's real.
It's like that meme. My wife sent me a meme recently and it's like when someone breaks in your house looking for money and you're like, it's like a cat with tears in his eyes. It's like, I'll help you look too because I'm broke as fuck. Like, that's funny, bro.
No, I was driving down down under the bridge the other day, man. It's so fucking sad under there.
It is, dude. Yeah.
Like, what's the solution for that, man? You see that shit every day, don't you?
I see it every day. I used to think, and then I just realized because, like, you know, working and you think like working in EMS, like, oh, now you're gonna have to respond to places like that. But I used to think like if they took like the space of like an apartment complex or something, and then like they had like the Home Depot size sheds or whatever, and like they just put like a little town in there, like, and like, you know, like how like kids in private school, we always had to do community service. And if like if like when you're a senior in high school, if you get them to like, hey, you're gonna come help, you know, cut the grass and plant some plants and stuff and flowers, and you know, the city like have like a tank of like water so they can shower. I feel like they just need a place to sleep. And if you don't want to see them under the bridge, like, I know they have shelters, and granted, there are always going to be the ones that are like, oh, I don't want to go to the shelter, like, or like they missed their 6 o'clock deadline. So then they're just back in the street. So then they call 911 and say they have chest pain so they can get a bed at the UMC hospital for the night and get fed. And then like, then the nurses and stuff start to resent them because they know that's all they're doing. So it's just this cycle of just kind of like passing them off to the next person. Like, it's your problem. Like, oh, they're in front of my building, kick them down the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to think like, you know, make them like a little community funded town where like at least they have a place to sleep. But then, you know, I thought about it and I'm like, well, if you have like 20, you know, mini houses that they can live in, like who's going to actually take care of it? I guess who's going to like police it? Because like, what if it just turns into like, you know, I don't know if you ever saw The Wire. You ever watched The Wire?
I've never seen The Wire.
Well, there's a season where the cop gets fed up with all like the heroin addicts around the city. So he just goes to this abandoned block of like a bunch of apartments and he tells every single one of them, you need to stay here. And this is your town. He's like, we're going to call it New Amsterdam. This is where you stay. And then like, so on paper, the cops are like, hey, crime's down. We don't see any more heroin addicts. People aren't passing out on the streets. We're not seeing any drug deals go down. And it's because they find out this dude just put them all in one spot and it just became like a hellhole. So maybe that might be what happens. But
well, how did that turn out for The Wire?
Oh, and on the show, it what do you call it? The cop got fired. He had to resign because the mayor's like, you just basically made crime legal. He's like, yeah, but I mean, our stats are down.
Yeah,
like
so
it was just like playing the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like,
there was a city I think it was in China. It was in China somewhere. I forget what the city was called, but they pretty much did the same thing. Yeah. Where they basically built like this fort and the cops didn't even go into it. Yeah. There was like 1 million people living in something the size of a city block. And there was so much crime and stuff in there because the cops didn't go in, but absolutely it all stayed inside of there.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think maybe if they just, I mean, I haven't looked at numbers of like how much stuff gets funded in terms of like shelters and stuff, but these people do need help. And a lot of them, like, cause I pick up a lot of them on the street and a lot of them are just like mentally unwell as to where like, it's not like it's just a dude like me or you that's just on hard times that can like figure out, you know, oh, I'm homeless, but if I go get a job as like a waiter and get a Planet Fitness membership, at least I can shower there and then sleep in my car. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of them are just like mentally unwell. So like somebody, you know, they need like resources to like, you know, get the help they need.
That's what I think. Whenever I see these guys, I'm like, how, like, could I get to that?
Probably. Dude, I used to work at the country club as a busboy, and there was this dude in there. And I just remember he reminds me of Idris Elba. He just had like that look, like big, stocky, British looking dude. And he fucking straight up told me, he was like, dude, I was homeless for like 2 years. Like, I think he was from New York. And he said that it was terrible. Cause he's like, I'm not like mentally unwell or anything. He's like, I just was on hard times, had no money, couldn't afford to live in New York anymore. He's like, I was literally just like going like 3 days without eating. Cause he's like, in New York, nobody cares about you. Like, not that people care more down here, but I'm more inclined to hand somebody $5 or $10 you know, even if they look like they're capable, because, you know, some people are like, oh, they can work, they're walking around. It's like, dude, I did it the other day. I gave somebody like $10 and like he lied. It was out here. He lied to me because he was like, I just want to go inside the Ferret stop and grab some water. You have $1? Like, here's $10, bro. Like, go inside and have a party. Get yourself a little thing of vodka, a water, like, you know, because like you're making their life, their day at that moment, you know. So like I see him walk off, and right before he hits the Ferret stop, he just fucking jetted in the opposite direction and jumped in a car. I'm like, oh, well, I guess he's just gonna go get high or something. Good for him. Yeah, you know, just. Because the way I look at it, I'm so blessed to not be in these positions that like, now I'm not going to be taken for a sucker, but every now and then if I have it on me, yeah, bro, here you go. I'll help you out. I
had a guy on the podcast a while back. He's from San Francisco and he works on homeless policy out there. You know, they have a huge problem out there. And he was basically saying that the average person in the US is only 3 bad decisions away from being on the street.
Shit, dude.
Yeah. And I was like, that's fucking wild to hear somebody like that say this.
Yeah. I heard something where it's like 70 to 80% of people are living check to check.
Check to check, yeah.
Like don't have like, and like they say like you should have like anywhere from 3 to 6 months of your salary saved up.
You can't anymore. I mean, that's when we shut the bar down. That's one of the reasons we had to keep paying the employees. I'm like, dude, we're not going to put these guys in the street. Like we're shutting the bar down to do all this renovation on the front of it, but we can't just stop paying them.
Right.
Because I mean, they're going to have to go find new jobs. Yeah. I feel like when you run a business, you have responsibility to the people that are working for you.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, man. So what's next for Frank?
What's next for Frank? Probably just drop some more music, man.
How big of a library do you have right now? It's pretty big, right?
So I got 2 mixtapes. I think it's 2 7-track mixtapes that I have on SoundCloud. I actually want to take those down and remaster them because they're so good that like I feel like they kind of just got lost in the past of like, you know, 2017, 2018. And like all the songs have like 100, 200, 300 plays. So like I'd love to like remaster it and hope that more people hear it. Yeah. And then on all the other streaming sites like iTunes and stuff, I got 2 full albums, Odyssey 1 and 2, couple of singles, and both those albums have 10 tracks on them. And I recently kind of just looked through like the laptop of like where my music is. And I got like 15, 16 songs just sitting. I think I took 7 of them out because I want to drop a project called Southern Made. Put that out sometime in November. And the goal right now is just to have more of a presence on like the internet, like TikTok, like just promoting myself, you know, rapping over my songs, like with a link, telling people to follow me. And just making more music videos, you know.
So you said they're on all the streaming sites?
Yeah, like iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal. Yeah, you know, everything.
How do you? What's the difference in all those? Is there like differences in the streaming sites?
Yeah, I guess. Just some people are like, oh, I only fuck with Apple Music.
Yeah,
and some people are like, oh, I only like Spotify.
Well, there's a buddy of mine that only does SoundCloud.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I'm like,
you know what's funny? I have a buddy that says I only listen to YouTube. I'm like, that's even weirder.
That's very weird.
He was like, yeah, I only want to listen to music on YouTube. Any artist. He will not go find their album on any streaming site. So when I tell him that,
for this?
He just thinks it's the most convenient thing.
That's very inconvenient.
Yeah, I don't know why, dude. He's like, I think it's so convenient because then he's like, then I get to see who it is. And like most of the time there's music videos. Because then that's why he was judging me. He's like, you got like 4 music videos out, dude. What are you doing? Like, I want to see like 30. I'm like,
4 music videos is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I guess it's not. But yeah, I just need to, it's really just a matter of laziness on my part, because it's like I go back and forth with being like one of those people that feels like they're so self-aware that they're like, I hate self-promotion. You know what I mean? Like I hate being like, hey man, like check me. Like I hate doing it, but that's so stupid because it's like what you need to do
these days.
You need to self-promote constantly,
dude,
or
so
at least constantly put like clips of yourself doing your thing. You know, so that's what I'm gonna start doing more.
So much content being made, you got to almost cram it in people's fucking faces.
Yeah. Definitely.
Who is I think it was Russ that said that how he blew up was he basically made a large library of music, and then he released 1 song a day for like a whole year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that because I've noticed, I've seen on my Spotify when artists that I listen to release a full album now, I'm like, God, it's a lot. So it's a commitment.
Yeah, nobody really does. Nobody cares anymore, dude. That's why it's like after this project is different because it's like I just, like I said, I made 15 songs. I could probably just drop them as like a song every 2 weeks for the rest of the year. You know what I mean?
What if you did that, but then also put them on an album?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can like build it up as a playlist. So it's like, eventually after a couple of weeks, it'll be a full project. So I'll probably do something like that because it's so hard to keep people's attention, man.
I think it's the way to go, man. There's only a few artists that if they release something like Kanye, if he releases a full album, I'm sitting down listening to that whole thing.
Yeah, him or even like Drake, J. Cole.
See, I'm not a big fan of those guys.
Really? You're not really?
Yeah. I don't know why. Drake just doesn't do it for me. J. Cole doesn't do it for me either.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I'm one of those people like where when they drop an album, like they'll drop like 15, 16, 17 track albums. And I'm like, I like that song.
Yeah.
That's what I listen to. Like, they're not like, I would reserve that title of like an artist where I'm listening to the thing front to back to someone like Kanye.
Yeah.
Cause like with J. Cole, it's like, all right, he's got one song that I like. And then same with Drake. I think that last album he put out that people are either praising or shitting on, which I feel like they do for every album he drops. There's one song I like, and it's just because it's like a conductor beat. Mm-hmm. He just makes a bunch of beats for like Griselda. It's such a good beat. Like I actually downloaded the instrumental so I don't have to hear Drake's verse on it anymore. I'm just like listening to the instrumental. I actually wrote to it too. I'm going to drop that soon because that's another way to go too. Like, you know, like a famous artist drops a song or one that people are listening to. So then you just drop the remix to it as well.
What's the legality there?
The legality is that
you just can't.
I think. Well, technically, like anytime somebody drops, like let's say, like he dropped this song called 8 a.m. in Ontario. I don't know what it's called, Toronto, but I go on YouTube and I type in that instrumental, and it's like some producer somewhere has already made the instrumental and tweaked it a little bit.
Oh, so
like the conductor producer tag isn't there. You can tell the drums are a little different, but it's essentially the same sample.
Yeah.
So like, that happens with like everything. Like I feel like the past couple of years, like I feel bad for producers, dude, because they just, I mean, I feel like I will find pages on YouTube or BeatStars, and these dudes will have like a huge discography, and I just feel like it's so easy for them to get robbed. Like a rapper just takes it. Now, granted, like it's not like the rapper's making like a bunch of money, but like, I don't know. It's definitely nowhere near. It would be like if I wrote all my songs and then like I would just like somebody could access my lyrics from the internet and steal them from me. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I'm trying to promote my shit and put it out there, and then people are just taking it for free. Like, which I guess they're doing when they're listening to it. But the fact like that producers can like put a bunch of beats on YouTube and then kids are just pulling them off. And now you got like 10,000 kids that wrote to the same beat. And now there's 10,000 songs on SoundCloud. And this producer's like, I'm not getting any fucking money off.
Yeah. That's why I didn't know if there was like a legality issue where the guy's got his beats copyrighted or intellectual property or something. Yeah. I'll tell you what's really going to be dangerous is when AI gets involved in this stuff. Like if you take the guy you're just mentioning that makes the beats, take like his discography of beats and then plug it into an AI machine and say, make something similar to this. Like,
dude, somebody did it for me the other day. He was like, he was trying to get me to use it to write lyrics. And I was like, I mean, I don't really want to do that. I can write my own lyrics, but he did it. He was like, he pulled out his phone. He's like, Rick Ross platinum song. And then it literally wrote like,
in Rick Ross's style,
a whole verse, 3 verses with a hook and everything. Like the hook was like, platinum on my door, platinum on my chains, something till I reach the fame. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's all he had to do. I'm like, and I bet you people are probably doing that, but I'm not doing that, dude. Like, it's.
I get it for making beats, but like not for doing lyrics.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Lyrics is like a personal thing.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
It's pointless to do it with lyrics. At that point, you're just a muse, I guess.
But with the AI, is it like I can go on? Because I don't really know much about it either. Can I go on an AI thing and be like, make me a Beatles song, like Eleanor Rigby Part 2? Yeah. Like, and it's just gonna spit it out, and then I can listen to it. Like,
dude, there are so many AI things right now. The only ones that I play with some of the image generators. I use ChatGPT quite often.
Okay.
Like
that's like the only one I've heard of.
Yeah, a lot of people, they'll send me their bios. Their bios will be like 3 pages, and then I'll plug it into ChatGPT and say, make this one paragraph, and it'll in 1 second, boom, 1 paragraph, and it sums up the entire thing. I'll use it to write emails. Like sometimes I'll write an email and I'm like, okay, make this more professional. And it'll plug it in, boom, more professional email comes out.
That's funny. I saw my friend doing that because she's in nursing school and she like had the whole lecture and she was copy and pasting it. And exactly like you said, like a page of notes, and she was combining it to like a paragraph cliff note. So that is crazy. Yeah. I guess it is super usul more on like the scholastic side. I think the music side is going to end up being really, really weird.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to look into some of this stuff. I know that there's one there, like I said, there's all different kinds of tools right now. There's one for podcasts. So like we do a 1 camera setup here, but there are some podcasts that do the 3 camera setup. A wide and then a close up of each of us. What you can do is you can plug that into the AI thing and it'll chop it up. Because, you know,
that's tight, dude.
Yeah. So you normally have to go chop that up by hand, but you can plug it in the AI and then it chops it up. I don't know about the music ones yet. I haven't really dove into those much, but I'm pretty sure if your buddy found one that quick on his phone,
Yeah.
like, you know what program he was using?
For the song?
Yeah.
It was a version of ChatGPT.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
It was like ChatGPT like X, or it was like a weird like thing. I think he said he had to pay for it. So like I don't know if you use like a free one.
I use a free one, yeah.
Yeah. So he used one where you paid for it. So it's probably just a little bit more, intensive in terms of like what it can do. But
yeah, it's incredible the stuff you do. I take, because I make art too. I take some of my art sometimes and plug it into these these not ChatGPT, but like these AI programs, and I'll just see what it does to the art. Like I plugged in the mural over there on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I plugged in that. Let me just show you this real quick.
Yeah.
Not to have some dead air here, but let me pull this up real fast. You'll be able to see it as soon. So let it play through first one time. Oh, shit. Hang on. Let it play through first.
Wait.
Yeah. You gotta get the surprise. I'll show it to the camera too, so they see what we're looking at. Okay, so that's the wall. That's what came out as soon as I plugged it in. So if you look at the wall over there,
yeah,
you can see the river and stuff. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The face? Yeah. Okay, now watch what it does when you hit play. Bam.
Holy shit. That's crazy. And you drew that?
No, I didn't draw this.
Okay.
The guy that painted the wall did the whole mural. And then I just plugged the picture.
You plugged the picture in and it made that.
And it made that.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
I'll overlay this part in the video so that the people watching can see.
Nice, dude.
But yeah, Frank, dude, thank you for coming in today. Where can the people find you at?
You can find all my music on SoundCloud, YouTube for music videos, but I would prefer you go to Spotify, Frank Marcelino, Marcelino. No, it's a lot. Frank Marcelino, Spotify, Apple Music. Please subscribe, that's where you can find me. And follow me on TikTok as well. I'll probably that's probably where all my promotion is going to go, is TikTok. It's just every day like me, just rapping a verse, putting it out there and telling people to follow me and like me.
Dope. Well, Frank Marcelino, everyone.
Thanks for having me, bro.